Live now. So welcome to anybody listening to live stream number 2 for the second episode of Silo here.
Are we live?
We're live, bro.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just you're over there like playing on your phone and you're complaining that we're not live. We're live.
Okay, we're live on IG too. All right, we're live everywhere else. Cool, awesome, dude. Awesome, dude.
I haven't
Awesome.
checked, but I will trust the tool to work. So
Well, let's do it officially then.
let's kick it off.
Okay. I've got my the shirt is kind of like see-through. I got to keep the camera up in case the audience sees my nipples.
Just don't pour any like water on your shirt or something.
It might hike up the viewers a little bit. You know what I mean?
All I can say is 2 people joined right after you talked
Right
about
after I
pouring
said
water.
nipples. All right, my bad. My bad. My bad.
We
All
got
right.
4 people on here now. I guess they do like it. All right, let's
All
go.
right, here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our instant reaction coverage of Silo Season 2, Episode 2, titled Order. And damn it, it was all right. It was way better than Episode 1, I got to say. It was,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we talk, we're not all, hoity-toity over here. I mean, we just talk from the heart. This episode was fantastic. We bounced like to a million different characters, a million different perspectives. We got Bernard right in the aftermath of Juliette cleaning, so I'm very glad that they did the immediate reaction to Juliette walking over the hill rather than too gapped. You know what I mean? So, Hey, what's up, Terra Marco? How you doing? By the way, we're live. So if you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify, occasionally you may hear us call out a comment in the audience. So yeah, deal with it. Anyways, so yeah, I was very glad that they took it from immediately the aftermath after the fact, and that now, because we know so much about the silo, we know so much about that it's dangerous outside, we get to see Bernard's point of view from a way different, more refreshing
Oh, yeah.
perspective. We actually get to see inside of Pandora's box, so to speak. We get to see this mysterious book called The Order, right? And he has these instructions for a scenario just like this, which are truly ominous, right? Which is that in the case of a failed cleaning,
Yep.
prepare for war. And it's just that. No instructions on how to deal with the war, but we get some very not so subtle foreshadowing of what Bernard thinks is in store, which is the other silo Juliette just happened to walk into, literally just dealt with the repercussions of a war taking place, which I would have to assume maybe happened as a result of a failed cleaning as well.
I would assume so too. It kind of feels like it. I also felt like whatever the rebellion was back in the day, however many years ago that was probably from a failed cleaning as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be wrong in that, but I think it's a fun thing to kind of think about. But no, honestly, this episode was way better than episode 1. I actually just rewatched episode 1 prior to this with my wife to get her back into season 2, and she's like, this one's kind of boring. I'm like, yeah, but episode 2 will be better. So it was great. It was really refreshing to kind of see everything. I'm with you in that I love that we didn't really get like a time jump. Like we're seeing the immediate aftermath of everybody's reaction. I think there's a lot about what we see in this episode with Bernard. It kind of makes me think he's maybe not so much a bad guy as maybe we initially thought he was. Like, I feel like a lot of this is him really trying to do a lot of good and a lot of things that's, what's right for the silo, if that makes sense, protecting the
Mhm,
majority.
mhm.
Now, I don't know how that's going to develop over the course of the season. I think we have to have somebody that feels like a big bad enemy, but um, it's interesting to kind of see him in a new light.
I couldn't help but think, like, while I was watching this episode, if that's how maybe the government feels about us, as citizens. Thinking about Bernard here, he's got 10,000 people in this silo, right?
Yeah.
And he knows it's dangerous outside for the most part. But you do question how much he actually knows about, everything else going on out there. There's just so many, although we're seeing more information coming out about what he knows and what his role is, we still know so little. But one of the things that we do get led on to in this episode, um, is the fact that I feel like multiple people in the silo in different areas of the silo have a good idea of what's going on. And I think, for example, I had no idea to the extent that Meadows was close to Bernard, nor that obviously we didn't know that she was his shadow. And we didn't know that she knew as much as she did, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's kind of one of those things where she also mentioned this really mysterious thing about the vault. She said, "I'm the only other person who's been in the vault." So there's this area of the silo called the vault, which not
Mhm.
Sims hasn't seen, nobody else has seen, which we also get more clarity as to why Bernard doesn't want Sims as his shadow. Up till now, I thought it was literally just convenient timing, like, hey, not a good time right now. I need you to be the enforcer that I have you as. But in reality, it's because he has Meadows queued up for this position. He wants her in it. And I think she might be better suited for it because we also get a deeper look at Sims in this episode and his home life.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a very House of Cards feeling type of power play there. Like the wife is obsessed with him becoming the shadow. In other words, they are obsessed with putting Sims in the power of the most powerful man in the silo, but we don't quite know what their motives are for wanting it that badly. Because she is, who I thought was kind of like this sort of submissive, supportive wife, seems to be the one actually sort of driving the ship
Driving it.
there.
Yeah.
Um, so I did find that very interesting, and I wonder if it's, I wonder if it has something to do with their son. I have no idea what it has to do with.
I kinda thought from season 1 it had to do more with, like, just them not liking Bernard or not feeling comfortable with him, like, maybe he was steering the ship in the wrong direction, and they feel like they would do better by the people. I'm not sure that my opinion's really changed on that yet, but again, we will see. And yeah, it is interesting, um, that Judge Meadows has been in the vault and has seen what's in the vault as well, outside of Bernard. Maybe makes me understand a little bit more about why she's a drunk. I don't know, just doesn't wanna deal with probably the realities of some of the things that she's seen in there in the past while she was, um, Bernard's shadow. But I don't know how, I don't know how far into this season she's really gonna get. I mean, we're already first episode with her in it, she's wanting to go outside and clean. So,
Yeah. CJ, I'm assuming you're asking for us to play clips on YouTube. Unfortunately, can you play Tekkit on YouTube, please? I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming he means like play the episode in the background while we talk about it in some way, which we can't do because YouTube has already banned our account once and it was an absolute nightmare to get it reinstated. So until they give us more clarity on what the hell we can do with watching footage on YouTube, we can't do it, even though we're not monetized, and even though we pretty much give free marketing to every single TV show we watch. So yeah, write an email to YouTube and tag our channel and say, please let them use the clips on the live stream.
that'd be
Um,
great. I'd love to play some video, even if it's just like in the corner, so we can all kind of have that frame of reference.
exactly.
Um,
Going back to what you were saying about Meadows and being a drunk,
yeah.
this did seem to be sort of a turning point for uh, essentially her character because she sobers up almost immediately. Now, what her obsession is with the Wizard of Oz and wanting to fly away in an air balloon, I don't know if that she wants to die or whether she just wants closure in some sense with what they're dealing with and to see what the hell's over that hill, which that's got to be an incredibly liberating feeling to see, the mystery of seeing what's over the hill.
Hmm.
One almost thinks that it might have been better for the silos to not create the hills, like just to kind of have an open field to see across, to see that there's another silo over there. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it is kind of an interesting thing. Like, I don't know if that was by design or by accident. I mean, that's like a lot of thinking through that somebody would need to do just to make sure, like, oh yeah, we don't want any silos to be able to see each other. We want them to be completely isolated from the top. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of weird, little weird, But kind of going back to the vault for a moment, I think we got a very, very immediate answer, to the question that we had in episode 1 of this season, which is, what is the door that this guy is behind? He was in the vault. It's the same exact door.
You're right. That was the vault, and I didn't even think about that. So Parsons, the engineer in episode 1 who threatens to kill Juliette, he's in the vault, which is
Mhm.
pretty interesting. By the way, I want to kind of do a little plug. If you're watching our live stream right now, this is our third ever live stream of our episodes. We're kind of using the instant reactions, which are our lighter episode coverage of Silo and other TV shows that we talk about. If you go and look at our channel, we're doing these every Thursday for the most part. Next week, we'll probably do it on Friday, but because of Thanksgiving. And yeah, make sure to sub to the channel. Make sure to like this video and check out our other content because we have talked about dozens of shows, I think, at this point. So yeah, continuing on. Great point on the vault. I had no idea. I did think though there was a little bit of sexual tension between Bernard and Meadows in this episode, and I was waiting for something to happen.
It felt like it too. I wasn't quite sure why the room was getting so hot there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe that has something to do with why she stopped being Bernard's shadow. Maybe they got too close to each other.
There's something
It's
else
it's a
there.
possibility.
Bernard asked her, he says, there's a 25-year secret here that you're not saying. And
Yeah.
remember, we did get this image in the trailer of her watching some sort of projection on the
Yeah.
wall. And we did see a gentleman and we saw what looked to be a child near them, like
Mhm.
on a beach or something like that. Now, I don't know what that was from, but who knows? Maybe Meadows got her hands on some relics or something. Because think about it. Every person, because if we want to go back in time and think about the silo, I would assume, because we don't know what catastrophe happened. Some people speculate, some of the audience members speculate that it was a nuclear apocalypse. Others think it was a like a climate catastrophe sort of thing.
Mhm.
But in my head, I'm assuming the silo is like the first class ticket to space, the survival ticket that the hundreds of millions, the billions of people on Earth don't get. So the people in this silo at one point, the people who bought that ticket to get into the silo were probably the wealthiest people in the world or the most powerfully connected people in the world. So maybe some of the relics that made it into the silo were just family heirlooms, were family videos, things like that, right? That they brought into the
Mhm.
silo of memories. We saw the tour guide of Georgia, right? I think was it
Yeah.
last year. So that means that people are bringing things in that they want to remember from the outside world, which maybe Meadows has some sort of connection. Maybe she saw a relic of one of her ancestors outside of the silo. So maybe that's what her secret is and has something to do with just wanting to know about her family history and where she's from.
Yeah, I just I don't know. Like I feel like whatever this secret is has to be bigger than that because Judge Meadows clearly is above the law in many ways. I mean, Bernard offers her everything that would get you sent out to clean or go to the mines, relics, and God knows what else in this episode. So, um, I really don't know what the secret was. I feel like maybe she saw something that she really didn't want to see. Um, and just I don't know, never talked about it. I don't know what that would have been. Maybe it was something similar to what Bernard saw from Juliette's helmet. I just couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. This series is such a combination of so many things. You ever read the book The Giver?
No.
Well, in The Giver, there's essentially it's like a black and white society. There's literally no color.
Mm,
And there is this sort of imagine like an employment fair, but for the entire population, and you have everybody has like these certain gifts that sets them apart for each sort of role. And there's like one role that can be the giver. I
mm,
feel like that's kind of the role of a guy like Bernard, who was the head of IT. He was given this book for generations. The people before him gave him the book. He was the shadow of somebody else. So it's like a very sacred order of this silo. I do wonder if there's any sort of connection or if it's just set it and forget it. Each silo has to survive on its own because this is an ongoing human experiment to save the human race.
I don't know. That would be interesting. I feel like that again kind of like puts us more in the direction of Fallout to some extent. Like
Mhm.
they were very isolated. They kind of like had their own worlds in that show.
Yeah.
I really feel like there at some point was some interconnectedness between some of these silos. Like I'd just be surprised if there wasn't. Maybe I'm wrong. It might be a big bold bet that we could make, but um yeah, I'm not 100% sure if, all of these silos, were differently or if they're all forced to kind of run on their own. It kind of feels like there at the very least is some very connected like network. I mean, if you look at again the vault, I find it interesting that the vault in Silo, I think a commenter said it was 17, the one that Juliet is currently in. The vault still has power. The rest of the silo didn't have power. So, like, there's gotta be some connection somewhere. Like, all of these vaults have gotta go somewhere. Feeds, power, whatever.
I would assume they're connected in some way, or they could be connected. There's no reason why you couldn't connect to it.
Mhm.
Um, I made a comment about people from different sections of the silo knowing at least some part. I think this is sort of like how like in the military you have clearance
Mhm.
and there's different levels of clearance.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like Bernard has close to the top clearance in the silo, and maybe there's somebody above him who has more clearance, but everybody else underneath him has a varying degree of less clearance to know what's
Mhm.
going on. And I think that there's multiple people who might be sort of key figures, right? Because in Bernard's speech that he gives, we find out that everything was fake there. Even the hecklers were organized
Yeah.
to heckle at that
What a
point, and to
politician.
heckle, yeah, and to heckle the exact things that they were saying, right? So he
Mhm.
uses everything. He even hired hackers to probably alter the audio tapes of Walker and McLean talking in the prison.
Mm.
That's what we're led to believe. And so I'm thinking possibly Knox might be another figure that he's connected to in the Down Deep, right?
Mm.
Because I think Shirley's a loose cannon to the point where I think that she's actually a threat to the stability
Safety of
of
the
the,
silo, yeah,
yeah,
I would agree with that right now.
and
It's
she
it
had
I'm getting an
yeah,
uprising.
and she has no idea because she's acting just like the guy from Silo 17, um,
Yeah.
which
Very
is,
much, like, the similarities in the shots too, like, down in the down deep, wherever they were hiding, like,
yeah,
in the first episode, the kid comes in with a torch. Man, those 2 scenes feel almost identical.
yeah. So I think Knox sees it to the point where at first I thought he saw a power opportunity and he was going to grab it. But instead, he tries to like tone things down and pull Shirley aside and say, "Hey, this is a tinderbox right now. You gotta chill out and stop this, pushing this rebellion that you're trying to push." Which I did think the JL graffiti was a bit too soon. I mean, the pacing of this episode felt like it was very much the first day that Juliet went out. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, we're putting JL all over the damn silo now, like on day one. I feel like that would be maybe like a end of week one type of thing,
Yeah.
not a
You gotta
day one thing.
convince a few people. Yeah. I thought it was a bit quick with that as well, but I was also thinking, part of the way through the episode, I'm like, "Man, that trailer just cut straight to the chase on a lot of this stuff." Like, so much of what we saw in the trailer, I think, was from episodes 1 and 2. It's kind of
For
incredible.
real. For
Yeah.
real. Honestly, I wasn't expecting. I'm so glad. I love when trailers actually don't show us anything at all. But we think that they're showing us a lot, but in reality, most of the stuff was probably from episodes 1 and 2, except for a few snippets I'm forgetting. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? How you doing? New Zealand. I always get blown away by the fact that somebody from New Zealand is listening and enjoying the show. So, hey, thanks. Honestly, one day, I mean, New Zealand's beautiful, bro. So
What
I
time is
am
it there?
jealous.
Like, I kinda gotta know what time it is there right now.
Yeah, yeah. We'll drop that in the comments what time it is over in New Zealand. We are unfamiliar. Um, the most I know of New Zealand is what I've seen in Lord of the Rings, because the whole thing was filmed in New Zealand.
Uh,
All right, so we talked about Knox. Shirley is kind of pouring
I
gasoline on the flames there. Um,
I don't know if Knox is, like, in contact with Bernard. I kind of thought he was just being a bit more level-headed,
yeah,
um, kind of reading the room a bit more. It's not this is not the time to kind of freak everybody out. Everybody is freaked out, um, and there's still a ton of unknowns. Like, nobody knew what exactly happened.
it made you wonder, right? Because I feel like when you watch this show, you empathize for at least this episode. You empathize with the people who are trying to keep the order, right?
Yeah,
But then you think about it from the perspective of like if you found out your government was lying to you, you're
yeah.
like, "No, F that. Like I want to know the truth. Like what's going on?
I can
Why do you
handle
think
it,
that you
yeah.
get it why do you think you get to, control the narrative of what you're telling us. But in this situation, they truly know that outside is completely toxic. So like if everybody goes out there, they're dead. But I don't know. I feel like the way forward is what Meadows is saying when she has the conversation with Bernard and she says, the people need something to believe in. And I think what they need to believe in is what I said in season 1. Make some good suits with some good tape, and we run this silo the way we want to run it, not the way this book says it. I mean, we'll follow the book to some extent because I'm sure it's very wise in there. But we send people out like freaking astronauts, man. Like we see how far can freaking John get in this
Mhm.
new heat tape suit. Like, can they get to the city? Can we see if there's any greenery out there? Can we bring a plant back to test the toxicity of this? Like, I don't know. I need to know more about what is the obsession with keeping people in the silos without even exploring a tiny bit, because I feel like the people would be okay with that, to be like, all right, we all know we're down here. We got to stay down here because it's toxic outside. If you need proof, we're going to send somebody out there without a suit. Like that's what I would do. I would send somebody out there without a suit
A
who starts
criminal.
acting up like, okay, Shirley, you want to act up, Shirley? All right, we're going to send your ass out there and we're going to see your skin like melt away on the camera or something like that. And then we'll send, someone else out there with the suit and say like, all right, we're going to test this. We're going to try some different things here and go from there. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would kind of expect the same thing, like some level
I'm not going to fight
of
them.
exploration.
I won't have a rebellion. If you want to go outside, we'll send you outside. We'll even give you the good heat tape and do it. And Bernard did kind of do that in his speech. He pivoted and said he did like a really good spin on the heat tape story,
Oh,
which
yeah, he did.
if you noticed, he took all that information from Walker's conversation, right? Because he
Mhm.
didn't quite know how she got over the hill, and now he does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I definitely would want to see more people explore outside if I were them, and just kinda going back to, like, the situation that's currently going on, uh, I don't think everybody really knows that it's poisonous outside. Like, I think that's the big question, as everybody thinks that what they've been seeing is a lie. That has been a question that was rising in season 1, and now they just witnessed somebody walk over the
Yeah,
hill. So
yeah.
you're everyone's gonna be questioning, like, "Well, is it actually bad outside? Or maybe it's not as bad now?" So I don't know that everyone believes if that door opens, they die. I'm sure there was a healthy mix of people, like we saw in the other silo in the flashback from the last episode. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of people are going to start trying to push, and we're going to see a war. But the thing that I think might be very interesting.
That,
Um,
by the way, if I can just interject really quick,
yeah, yeah, sure.
based on the way those bodies looked in the footage Bernard was watching in the beginning, I would have to say that whatever rebellion happened in that other Shiloh happened within the last like 20 years, um, of them, because those bodies were pretty much intact. I feel like we'd have to do some really dark Google searching to see like when skeletons,
How quickly do bodies decompose? It's been a
yeah.
minute since I've looked stuff like that up.
Why would
Um,
you give some
I
context to the
because I
audience
I
before they
I
think you're a
used
serial
to I
killer?
used to study forensics,
Okay.
uh, and like I a long time ago wanted to become a medical examiner.
He wanted to be Dexter.
No, I didn't want to be Dexter. He is more on the forensic side, but no, like a medical examiner, like you're autopsying bodies, trying to understand the cause of death, like that was stuff I was into. I loved it. Loved CSI. Um, was one of my past loves, but
I'm glad you're on my side, buddy.
yeah, you're welcome. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Um, yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I was gonna say one of the things I'm kind of excited about is it feels like we've kind of gone off the rails in the silo. So where so much of season 1 was like I guess Bernard trying to follow everything by the book. I don't know if this means we're going to deviate from all of the rules that have been built and the expectations that has been built in season 1, right? Because there is no plan for this. There is no plan for what happens when there's a war. So I feel like things could get really weird really quickly.
Well, you have down deep. I mean, even Walker now is kind of lending her ear a little bit to the growing rebellion. You got Cooper who's
Hmm.
following suit. So that's growing some steam. It's just a matter of whether Bernard can keep it in line. So I would assume next episode we get some Juliette, we get some Silo 18, and we get um I would love to see the mines, man. I'd love to see what's going on with Lucas and the mines, and I want more Billings. We didn't get a lot of Billings. All we
Mhm,
got from Billings was essentially he's really trying to stick by the bylaws in the silo,
mhm.
right? And I think we've grown past the point where nobody gives a damn about those anymore. So I don't know how Billings is going to be able to be like, you broke the law, Bernard. I feel like they would, get rid of Billings in a heartbeat if he
I
started
mean,
barking
Billings
up the wrong
doesn't
tree.
really have any power. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's now under the control of judicial, so
Yeah. Of Sims.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna help much at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Well,
you have anything else to
I
add?
I'm very excited for episode 3. I don't know that we're gonna get, like, a heavy mix of both storylines in these. I kinda feel like we're gonna start bouncing back and forth more,
Yeah.
like, next episode's gonna be, again, like, almost all, if not all, Juliet's storyline.
I disagree. I think we'll get a back and forth maybe, but I am looking forward to rewatching this one for our deep dive episode on Sundays. If you didn't know that, ladies and gents, and by the way, if you're watching and you haven't liked this video or subscribed to our channel, shame on you. Shame on you. Um, but yeah, we have our deep dive episode coming out this Sunday. We do those every Sunday, like I just said, repetitively. And we're doing these instant reactions on Thursday. We're live streaming the instant reactions. We're not live streaming the deep dives for now. And yeah, that's it. Next week, the schedule will be thrown off a little bit because in the States over here, we have Thanksgiving. So we'll probably be recording the instant reaction Friday. I'm also out of town. And then the deep dive probably Sunday, maybe Monday, worst case scenario. So um, stay tuned for that. And yeah, we keep these instant reactions light so you got something to look forward to for the deep dive. So hope you enjoyed this episode of Silo, and Zach, to your outro.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Silo by Story Archives. You can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify primarily. You can visit us on YouTube at Soapbox Podcast Network. Visit our website at soapbox.house. Email us at contact@soapbox.house. And all of the links to social platforms and anything else you might be able to think of, they probably exist over on our site. So go check it out.